You are watching William Patterson University Television.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Back in 2014, James Gunn exploded onto the superhero scene with Guardians of the Galaxy. Just 4 years and some old tweets later, Disney fired Gunn and the fate of the Guardians series is up in the air. But we did get a juicy development for this story, that Gunn has signed with Warner Brothers to join the DCEU in writing the next script for Suicide Squad and possibly directing. Joining with me today are Stephanie, Jonah, and Joe to discuss what this means for DC. Guys, thank you for joining me today. This is really big news. So I'll start right off the top. Stephanie, James Gunn, left in disgrace, goes to the rival studio who doesn't care about the media circus around it, evidently. What does this mean? Is DC kind of throwing down everything to try to catch up?
I think it's a good thing, fundamentally, because Marvel needs competition. Marvel needs to know that it royally just destroyed the Guardians franchise, basically, by this impulse move, and it needs to learn that, and it's going to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, Jonah, do you think this leads to more exodus from Marvel? Because there are people upset that Gunn was fired in the first place. Do they go to DC now too, seeing that there's a home for them?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that there's going to be way more of a turnout to the new Suicide Squad movie now that James Gunn is directing it, and that he has these people who have supported him throughout this entire campaign with Marvel. They'll definitely come out and support him.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think? Do you think that there's another wave going to DC?
See, I think this is DC trying to make a power play, grabbing James Gunn from Marvel. I think we're not gonna see anything unless Suicide Squad is good, the sequel, which we'll see. I mean, James Gunn, I think he's gonna make it good, but if it's not good, then I feel like DC is kind of screwed.
Okay, so Jonah, I'll ask you, Suicide Squad, the original, which we can all agree, was not good.
No.
It was not what we wanted it to be. We had Harley Quinn, a character we wanted to see forever, dropped on its face. Will Smith as Deadshot, we didn't think could go bad. We found out it could go bad. Jonah, where do you think Gunn, if any, has a building block to fix this franchise? Or does this call for a wipe the slate?
I think it's probably going to end up being a wipe the slate for Suicide Squad from what I've seen. They're kind of hoping to, from what I've seen, just revamp it and give it that James Gunn flair that Guardians of the Galaxy has had. And they're just hoping to bring people back to to those characters and to that group.
All right, Stephanie, I'll ask you. Oh, go ahead.
But they need to really rethink the entire Suicide Squad concept, basically. The casting was good, except for a certain Joker.
We won't talk about
I think you
won't talk about it. It never happened. It never happened.
Joaquin Phoenix looks good, so we can put him in there. Maybe add Dave Bautista, because I heard rumors floating around that Bautista was thinking of jumping the Marvel ship to help Gunn in solidarity with Gunn's situation. So I think with Bautista probably somewhere on the cast list, and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker replacing the garbage that was
that thing we had.
The thing. I think this is shaping up to be in a much better direction.
So I was going to ask you, Gunn is known for, he brought a campy feel to Guardians. It was full of 80s charm. It had bright lights, colors. The Suicide Squad we got and the universe we got it in was not that at all. And it was almost, the comedy that they did have was very forced, and that was one of the biggest complaints. Does Gunn stick with his very campy, happy-go-lucky style, or does he try to maintain that dark universe and eliminate some of the comedy that made it so cringeworthy?
I'm going to be quick. I think he needs to find a happy middle ground. I don't want to tell James Gunn how to write his movie. He's much better than I am. But I think if he finds like a happy medium between the fun 80s Guardians of the Galaxy and the more brutal Suicide Squad universe, then that'll lead to a much better movie with a very distinct style, as opposed to just like, hey, we're sort of like the Nolan Batman, maybe.
Okay, Joe, what do you think? Do you want that campy style from Gunn? Is that what you expect and want from him?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they need to I think they should make it completely campy, in my opinion. Maybe have a little bit of dark in it, but for the most part, most of these movies, other than Wonder Woman, has been a flop pretty much. So I think making it more enjoyable and fun and lighthearted, especially with the cast they had, it could have been amazing if it was campy like that. But
okay, and I'll open this last question up to all of you guys. We've had, in the DC universe, we've had 2 successful animated Suicide Squad films with 2 different casts each time. Do you think Gunn pulls from those movies as sort of an inspiration or writing point to make this franchise better or start over? Do you think that he pulls from something that's already been successful?
Absolutely. I think he has to pull from everywhere. He's a known comics fan. James Gunn is. He's a known comics fan. So to ignore the successful iterations of these characters, especially on the film side of things, would be doing the characters a great disservice.
Yeah. Jonah, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. These characters have a history with those animated movies and with the comics, and I'm sure James Gunn's going to do a good job, like he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, portraying those characters as how they are in a way that'll be unique and new for DC.
I totally agree, and I'm hoping that all of us are right and we have a really good movie coming out of this. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have to talk about James Gunn and the Guardians this week. We will have to wait and see if he can really, truly make diamonds out of coal again in the future. Thank you to Stephanie, Jonah, and Joe for joining me, but don't go anywhere, because Jordan and Michele are next with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.